Tonight on Reel to Reel Talk, it's all about sports movies and a look at the new Space Jam.
Film is a medium that transports. All I have to do is pop myself in front of the TV to watch a movie, and I can just enjoy it, whatever place the film takes me to.
Movies have always been an escape. It gives you a whole new world to be in.
I have a rekindled love affair with movies.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Reel to Reel Talk. I am Sergio Barrera, and it's time once again to talk all things movies. Joining me, as always, are the other Reel to Reel Talkers, Susan Chisholm, Paul Britton. Folks, I don't care if you like sports or not, sports movies are cool.
Go on, Susan.
Okay.
Do you agree? Is that okay? Is that a fair statement, or do you find it difficult to watch sports movies because you don't care for sports or the sports?
I mean, this may surprise the both of you, but I actually like sports. Like,
oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not like super fan into all the stats of every team or whatever, but
Right.
I'm a fan.
This is a movie pod, so honestly, like, I don't know what you guys do outside. Sergio, I know, but Susan, It's like, you keep it on the DL. Sergio is all about letting everybody know what he's up to. So
That's right. People got to know.
Is that your way of saying that I'm really bad at like being on social media?
No, that's my way of saying your way of being on social media is totally different than Sergio's.
He's saying you're subtle. Subtle. So, no, and it's kind of funny, though, because I used to be way more of a sports fanatic myself prior to roller derby, which we're all involved in or have been involved in. Right. And I can tell you, I used to be the guy, college football on Saturday, pro football on Sunday, basketball, college and pro. I mean, year round. Baseball probably was the one I watched the least, but I still got into the World Series and the playoffs. But then roller derby came along, and I can honestly tell you that I have not been near the same sort of intaker of sports in the last 10 years. And so, but sports movies, that's a whole different thing. I found myself having a hard time narrowing it down to like three to five, like we said, that we want to share and say, hey, here are some of our favorites. And frankly, after a bit, I wasn't worried about overlaps. So
there you go.
What about you, Paul?
I love sports. So like I like you said, like football is my number one. I just for me it wasn't roller derby that reduced my amount of football watching. It was more having a kid who doesn't care for sports. Gotcha. So like it's kind of like I don't want to just completely alienate him and shut him out or anything like that. So
as any parent would not,
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just not going to watch as much sports as much football as I used to. I now though he's like 13, and so he's totally doesn't give a crap what I do. He's going to do his own damn thing. So I'm definitely getting back into watching football. But like, I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh, so like I loved the Pirates growing up, even though they just completely sucked. I was big hockey. I was big Penguins fan too. Like, just I was a sports guy constantly, and even like when I moved to South Florida, I liked University of Miami and the Dolphins and the Heat. I was here when the Heat started, and my dad, some of my favorite memories of sports is my dad would pay off security guards so that to get us into the old Miami arena, and we would sit on the floor. And this one time we sat like 3 rows behind Bill Cosby. So
there you go. And there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's funny because that reminds me when I was growing up, or not growing up, I was already, a working adult. I used to be able to go to, this is not a brag, but I used to be able to go to all of the Dallas Cowboys games year to year when they were at Texas Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Tickets weren't that expensive. You could be down in the lower bowl and not have paid too much money. But as soon as they built that new stadium, I was like, well, I guess I won't be going to a Cowboys game anymore.
Yeah.
Because the prices were just outrageous. And so So yeah, and I should be careful not to blame the sport of roller derby. It was my roller derby travels. I don't want people in roller derby to be like, oh, so it's our fault.
Right. You
But
used
yeah.
your weekends for other things.
Right. Exactly.
That
Exactly.
makes sense.
So did we have a struggle putting our list together? Did you find yourself kind of like reaching for films, Susan? I'm sorry, was that too obvious?
As always, yes. It wasn't for a distaste of sports movies. It wasn't, it was literally like, I haven't seen enough movies to have this many, but like I was able to kind of like reach back into like small Susan times and remember movies that I used to watch and like things I've watched with my kids. So
No, there you go. Paul, what about you? I imagine it was pretty easy for you to
Yeah.
come up with a list.
So the difficult part would be if I had sat down and like, okay, I'm only going to pick 5 movies. Like literally, like I asked you, hey, are we doing our top 5? What are we doing? And your response was, we're just going to kind of throw movies out there and have conversation. So like, I literally was just like, okay, I am literally just going to see what gets thrown out there and make sure I fill the gaps with that's stuff I love.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good idea for this because it's really just about like, hey, what are some of the ones that you loved and we all remember fondly.
Right.
We'll talk about this because we will be reviewing as part of this first segment the new Space Jam movie, Space Jam: A New Legacy. But before that, we thought we would share with you guys what some of our favorite sports movies are. So if you don't mind, I'll just throw one out and we'll go from there. It's funny because the movies I tend to like have that sort of like factor, like, is the hero team going to win? And so I'm going to first throw out a movie we've already talked about before, but probably my all-time favorite sports movie is Hoosiers.
Okay.
Hoosiers, absolutely, with Gene Hackman it's so well put together that I don't even joke about this when I say this. I literally watch it, and every time I'm like, are they going to win the big game? Like, I still wonder,
right.
Because it's such a great film. So, Hoosiers would be the first one I'd say that goes in my sports movie Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Susan?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. It's on my list.
Okay. Oh, yes, of course. It should be.
It's on my
The
list.
list, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The list. It's on the list of movies. So, I guess, are we just kind of going in circles?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just do it.
So a movie that I actually recently showed to my daughter because she said, "Oh, I can't do sports. I'm just a girl," and so I had her watch A League of Their Own, which, I mean, there are times in that movie I'm like, oh, God. But then there was also like really great times. I'm like, this is hilarious. So she found some humor in it, and that was good. So I don't feel so bad about it.
That's a great one.
And it falls right into Sergio's. Are they going to do it or aren't they? Dynamic.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna do another movie. Are they going to do it or aren't they? Dynamic. And I'll throw out the Bad News Bears. Which is just such a wonderful take on the sports movie, and not even just that, but like even just funny sports movie, like sports comedy movies. That it's so good, and the best part about it is they do not do it. Like it's like it is absolutely no, they do not do it, but it's so good. Tatum O'Neal. At that point, an Oscar-winning actress, Tatum O'Neal, and Walter Matthau is just unbelievable. I mean, Bad News Bears, God bless you. You are just so horribly inappropriate and fantastic.
Yeah, it creates, it's kind of that movie trope of, the underdog films. Right. I mean, I think of I don't want to say any right now that might come up, but it's a common trope that proceeded from that point forward in especially kids sports films. I also, in my Hall of Fame top 5, again, I didn't rank them, but I guess I'm talking from the perspective of like, if I have a shelf next to me that has the only 5 sports movies I can ever watch again,
Okay.
Right next to Hoosiers would be Miracle.
I knew you. I knew it.
Oh God! Again, I can watch it every single time, and like, oh, I know the history, but I mean, it's like, it's not just that are they going to win. It's I get emotionally swept up into it. Like the training montages, I'm like, am I breathing heavy? Because I feel like I'm breathing heavy. Like it's exhausting to watch, and the intensity. Such a great film, and the action in it is amazing. So Miracle definitely belongs on that shelf of 5 for me. So
Yeah. I'm gonna go with another baseball movie, and you are probably gonna hate me for this one, Paul, but I really like Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner.
Yep.
I mean, and
right.
to me, it's like the story and like the emotion in it. It's kind of like, okay. I also haven't seen it in a very long time, so it could be really terrible after all. I mean that came out when we had it on VHS. That came out probably, let's see, hang on, I've got like the list pulled up here that I had written down. That was in 1989. I was 4.
Oh,
it took me forever to get to that film.
Yeah, I was a little late coming to it too, but no, I like that one. I mean that's just like a purely good movie that Kevin Costner can't ruin with his Kevin Costneriness. So
with his Kevin Costneriness,
yeah,
I like that.
So all right, we're going for sports movies that are a little emotional. Is somebody cutting onions in here? Remember the Titans, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go with that one. We'll go with Remember, even though I was going to like say that if you brought out another high school movie, we'll go Remember the Titans. I mean, come on.
That's a great one.
And there, I will be honest, like it's not high on my list. But there are, I feel like they could do a better job with it today. I feel like for when it was made in like the late 90s, whatever, it was like, I feel like there's a lot that was very like simple, and it's just not that simple, but it's very much, it really, really digs deep into your gut and punches you a whole bunch of times. So that's the one I'm going to throw out there. Awesome. Since we're doing cryy movies.
Well, and we've got listeners who are throwing in their ideas. I want to say thank you to our friend Craig, Big Papa, A League of Their Own. He mentioned that as well, but he also mentioned Marshall, and I'm wondering if he means We Are Marshall.
Yeah, We Are Marshall, probably. Yeah,
great film.
And there might be no crying in baseball, but there's definitely crying in sports movies. So, yeah,
and in sports movie watching,
yeah,
I'm like. Yeah, those are anyway. Y'all know I love documentaries, and I could not include a sports documentary that is near and dear to my heart, and it is called When We Were Kings. It is a documentary around the Muhammad Ali George Foreman fight in Zaire, the Rumble in the Jungle, and all of the drama around it, and it's just an amazing documentary that takes you deep into that event. And all of the politics surrounding it, all of the, the delays and the, just the whole saga behind that fight, and how everyone thought that Foreman was going to be just the end of Muhammad Ali and his legend. And it's an amazing story, a recounting of a true life event that it's a sports movie. His Ali's life and moments like this are what movies are made of. This underdog, again, it's always that underdog sports thing that gets me. And it's just such a beautiful documentary. I'm trying to remember when it came out.
90s sometime, I think.
Yeah, it was
95.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And such a, just, again, you gotta be a documentary lover, and you gotta love boxing.
So good.
And it makes me miss what boxing used to be. I know that's a cliche nowadays, but it's true. It's not the same anymore, and it certainly isn't like it was back then. So When We Were Kings is my third on my shelf.
Okay, so I'm gonna. I mean, I was like sitting there looking over my list and thinking, almost every single one of them has to do with baseball.
That's okay.
That's a good thing.
I mean, when I was a kid, that was what we did. That was
You
what
guys
my-
better
my-
not
was
make
like
me
my
be the
dad.
one that bring up Whip It though. Like I don't make me be the one that does it. Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
thought
do it
that's
on
what
my
the
last
one
one.
you, Susan. I thought that was what you were going to say when you talked about a movie to Evelyn.
No, I haven't actually. She has not. Evelyn has not seen Whip It yet because they all already want to be in roller derby. All of them, and they all have their
Nice.
names. They all have their names, and I'm just like, it's
Gee, I
more
wonder
than just
why.
a name. But like, no idea. I'm gonna venture off into the football side of things and bring up Blindside, the Blindside
Oh,
with
okay.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
I
Another
loved.
cheery one.
Yeah, it's weird how like you don't think like it's about sports. Yeah, who cares? But it's like, hey, this is a real story that's kind of emotional and
Yeah.
I think based on a true story ish.
No,
I think,
for sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oscar winning movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It was.
Sandra Bullock gets her Oscar there. You know, I could have used that as my make you cry movie too. That's,
It definitely does.
so we're going true story, like very true story. So I will go with 42. Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson. Just so good. So good. And God damn it, Chadwick Boseman. But I there's too much that can be said about that movie. I'm just gonna pass it off to you, Sergio, where you want to go next.
It's a great film. It's a great film. Man, I should have thought of that one, but I'm glad you did.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to be honest. I have some extras, so I'm sort of debating. But I'm going to follow along the theme of baseball, and you got to have the Sandlot. The Sandlot has to be on the list for me. I can watch that movie over and over. It's so funny. It's just a fantastic film, and that the jet steals home. The jet steals. I'm like, yes, he does. It's like it gets me every single time. It's just I can't say enough about the Sandlot, and I hope I'm not alone because that's a great film.
Now I'm mad because I played Bad News Bears too early. Go ahead, Susan.
Okay. I mean, so it's actually surprising. I kind of do have extras as well, but like shifting into something like it's not, it was a kids movie, like a teen movie. Bend It Like Beckham. That is the dumbest movie. It is so dumb, but God is it entertaining. I can watch it multiple times. My daughter she loves it. And of course it's Keira Knightley. Like she's fantastic. So,
What?
can't
Okay.
help it.
I'm curious because I've seen that movie. And I like it. Why would you say it's dumb?
It's very cliche, maybe that's not the right word, but
Okay.
like yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like
Okay.
I mean, of course, me, like I have a very, very brief history with the playing of soccer.
Okay.
I played in exactly 2 games in a rec league here in Austin, and I got kicked out because apparently you're not supposed to tackle people.
Well, there you go.
I'm shocked. So
I'm not.
I definitely played Bad News Bears too early, and so I'm going to have to go ahead and do Whip It because you guys are doing kids playing sports, and so even though she pretends she's not a kid, she is still a minor. She sneaks into the league on her own. Whip It is fantastic, and not just because we like roller derby, but just as the thing I like about it is it really captures the idea of being in a sports rec league so well. Like people doing a thing like in Sandlot and Bend It like just regular people doing a thing. They're not the best in the world at doing a thing, but they're just doing a thing because they're fun and it's fun and they want to do it. And yeah, Whip It is, for the roller derby folks out there, it's fantastic. And Cool Runnings is fantastic also, but
Yeah,
that's not on my list. So Whip It, however, I'm throwing out.
I know a number of people that said, okay, Whip It was the reason that I joined roller derby. Whip It was the reason, I had not seen Whip It until I had been playing for 2 years. And I was like, wait, there's a movie about roller derby?
Wow.
And everybody was just like,
Who are you, man?
no, I mean, I have always been awful at watching movies.
Yeah.
It's not a new thing, guys. So yeah, it was
It's true.
Yeah. So I finally got to watch it like at our end of our leagues, or my team, because I was on the Rockin' City roller derby hidden tracks. At our end of year party, we got to like have fun and like watch a movie at people's houses. It was
cool,
pretty awesome.
My wife, you can throw my wife in as person who started roller derby because of Whip It. So
nice. Want to give a shout out to Craig, who once again, you mentioned Cool Runnings a moment ago. So did Craig. As one of his.
That's what I was reacting to that.
Yeah, and of course George with his "You Play Ball Like a Girl" from the Sandlot. So yeah, love to see the participation.
Minnie Peppercorn is the best part of that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, I've lost count, but
this is number 5. We're coming on number 5.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no.
Okay, so then before we all do 5s, pick a 5. But then let's do a couple of honorable mentions.
Oh,
before you get to your 5.
Obviously.
So on my honorable mention, Rocky Balboa, the 6th and final Rocky. Although I know Creed, but I just love that movie so much. And
really,
8, yeah, I did. Again, you have to understand there is a very personal connection to the Rocky movies for me because except for that one, I was taken to all of them by my cousin. So like it was a family thing every time Rocky came out. And so, but I just really like the story arc at that point because it made up for 5 dramatically. And 8 Men Out is another honorable mention for me. It's a lot of baseball films tonight.
Yeah. It lends itself to movie making because nothing happens, so you can fill it with plot.
You can fill in the blanks. Yeah. And yeah, in fact, there's another baseball movie being talked about there. I want to leave that for you, Susan, to bring up in our comments. So.
Yes, thanks.
Did you just do one honorable mention and the one that you want to pick?
No, I did 2 honorable mentions. I just did.
Are we doing honorable mentions and then we're going to go around and go the 5th one? Or
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to hear honorable mentions from either of you guys, however many.
Well, I don't know what your 5th one's going to be, so how do I know what it's an honorable mention?
I'll let you know.
It's going to be great.
I'll let you know. If you call it, I won't get mad.
What if one of my honorable mentions is one that you mentioned and it's like, all right, forget it. Go ahead.
And the show will end. Oh my God.
Go ahead.
It'll be fine. Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
I would like to give a shout out to my mom who's watching. This is my mom for the love of the game. That was actually it was on my list because.
Is that Costner?
Oh no.
I've seen that one.
I don't remember. I guess I'm gonna throw out two more of my own honorable mentions, which are also baseball related and also heavily aimed towards children. Angels in the Outfield, and
I love that movie.
And Rookie of the Year.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad it came up.
I freaking love that movie. Like it's so absurd, but it's fantastic. I love that movie.
I love those.
Not
movies.
For me.
Goodness gracious.
Hi, Mom.
I'll tell you right now, Susan, Jen will be so glad that Rookie of the Year came up because when I told her what our topic was, she's like, Rookie of the Year. I'm like, okay, but not on my list.
It was the first one that I thought of. And every time I think of the movie, all I can think of is like when he breaks the guy's nose, he's like, funky butt loving. That's in my head forever.
So
all right, Paul.
I will go. I'm gonna. Okay, so some honorable mentions. Dodgeball. It needs to be honorable mention as just absurd sport movie tropes that are just great and fantastic. You mentioned a super talky movie just now. I'll throw one out. The Natural. I mean, you don't get any more. Nothing happens in baseball super talky than The Natural unless you want to mention Moneyball. So there, I did 3. I did 3.
That was your 5th one.
Yeah. So thank you for the segue, Paul. My fifth is definitely Moneyball. We've talked about it before.
Many times
I won't
before.
say. Yeah, I won't say much more.
I knew that was going to be your fifth
on the
one.
list.
I
Yeah,
just,
thanks, Paul.
I knew that was going to be your fifth one, so I ruined it for you on purpose.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
can always count on you for that.
Yep.
All right, Susie. What about your last one?
Okay, so I'm taking it way on the comedy side of it. Nobody's brought up Caddyshack.
Oh,
Okay, excellent.
nice.
That was going to
That
be my fifth
counts-
unless somebody else made it. So
That counts as a sports movie.
100%.
Absolutely, it's hilarious.
Just like
and
Happy Gilmore does.
like, I've yeah, golf has got a special place in my heart. I used to play golf with my parents.
Caddyshack's one of the funniest movies ever made.
Absolutely.
Oh
Just-
yeah, I love it.
it has nothing to do with like, oh, it's just one of the funniest sports movies. It's literally one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can make a better funny sports movie than Caddyshack. So that was going to be my fifth one. Let me just find something here. What do I want to do? You know what? I'm going to do a weird one. I'm going to do something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. My wife and I love it, and like it's so dumb, but The Cutting Edge. Have you either of you seen it?
That is a funny movie. Yeah,
I love
that's
that
a great
movie.
one.
I have.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I love the cut. Like
Yeah.
that's one we haven't done here. Is the romantic comedy sports movie, and
Yeah.
The Cutting Edge I think is the best one of those. DB Sweeney, Moira Kelly. It's so dumb, but it's so funny and Topic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Follow it up by its sequel, Blades of Glory. I'm kidding.
All right.
But yeah. No, I love that one. That's
Yeah.
oh golly. I don't know what that says about my movie watching habits from the 90s, but there you go.
No. Are you kidding me?
I'm happy it made the list. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, it's been fun going through our favorite sports movies, and of course, there's so many. And we thank those of you who have been sharing. Craig added Bull Durham, Moneyball came up as well. And let us know what movies you like. Now, before we jump into our review of Space Jam as part of our sports movie conversation, I just want to let folks know, stick around, because after we talk about Space Jam and do our weekly segments, we're reviewing quite a few films tonight. And so you'll want to stick around in case you're trying to figure out, what do I want to go see over the next few days?
Yep.
So make sure you stick around. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at Space Jam, A New Legacy. LeBron James, now the focal point of the Space Jam series. Michael Jordan, the OG of basketball, greatest of all time, in this guy's opinion, was the main character of the first one. And so I went in with that particular movie in mind. And I have to tell you guys that I really had to prepare myself to go into this, because I wanted to make sure that I gave it its due for what it's intended. And so for me, I went in like not skeptical, but not excited. And that probably helped my feeling overall about the film. So I want to just throw it to you guys, whoever wants to start. Just talk a little bit about your overall impression of the film, and let's talk a little bit about how it made us feel.
So the original Space Jam was when I was a kid. And it was I didn't really get into it. I didn't really like it. I think I was 11 and I was on the cusp of like just too old for cartoons, just too old for Looney Tunes, or whatever. So I wasn't a big fan of it. And going into this one, I was like, I'm not sure I'm gonna like it either. Wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was just kind of like, okay. And I'm being nice, of course, about it. Like not a fan.
No.
Gotcha.
I have a lot to say about this movie. A lot to say, and literally nothing good. There was nothing I liked about this movie. And one of the things I've read on the internet is, oh, shut up with your complaints. This movie's not for you. Granted. I disagree, however, because there is no freaking way you make a movie with a Casablanca mashup with Looney Tunes and say this movie's not made for you, because I am absolutely the person they're making Casablanca Looney Tunes mashups for. It's just that the Looney Tunes Casablanca mashup is, quite frankly, offensive. It was offensive. It's playing against Sam, but because they're one character in the that is named Sam, is Yosemite Sam, who is this over the top character that is obviously a Southern character because of his accent is Southern and represents sort of like the sort of Confederate sort of soldier with the hat. Like, everything going on screams white guy, and he's playing the black guy in Casablanca. And like, really, this is what we're gonna do? And if a movie that does a mashup with Looney Tunes and Austin Powers isn't for me, I don't know what movie's for me. And if a movie that does a mashup between Looney Tunes and Game of Thrones isn't for me, I don't know what movie's for me. None of the mashups were interesting, except for maybe the Austin Powers one. Seeing Elmer Fudd be Mini-Me was mildly. That was probably the one moment that I liked. Everything else was. Look. Michael Jordan's not an actor. God bless him for not trying to be an actor. He was in one movie, but he was so ubiquitous. Like, people don't, you might not remember, like, Michael Jordan was just everywhere. Like, McDonald's commercials, Coca-Cola commercials, Nike commercials. If there was a commercial break, there was a 50% chance on anything. I don't care what show you're watching. If there's a commercial break, there's a 50% chance Michael Jordan's going to be popping up. Nobody's watching commercial television anymore. So who the hell knows how many commercials LeBron James has done? I mean, I understand that LeBron James is the most famous basketball player right now. And I'm not comparing him to Michael Jordan in the who's a better basketball player, but who's a literal cultural phenomenon, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. It's Michael Jordan. LeBron James doesn't even touch Michael Jordan in that category, and he was horrible. And they propped this movie up on him, and he just stunk. It just was like it's like if after this he starts doing more movies, it's like him and John Cena are gonna have a battle royale for who's the biggest cardboard person up on.
Oh man. John Cena makes another appearance.
He was not good. The movie was pandering with all the Warner Brother properties. Every time they showed the shot sideline and they had to show the shots of the guy dressed up as the Penguin doing emotional reactions, it was just cringy. The whole movie just made me cringe.
All right. Well, we always love hearing our own thoughts, but we also have folks sharing. And again, everybody likes movies for different reasons. Nick Diaz says best part of Space Jam was traveling through all the different Warner Brothers worlds. Right. And I have to agree, that was quite unique. And our friend Juan talks about a Michael Jackson music video. I believe Jordan must have been in one. I guess that's the reference there.
Yes. He was Remember the Time.
Yeah. That's right.
Remember the time.
For me, I think the biggest problem I had with this film is everything was such small snippets. Like all of the things, the montages, for example, going through all the different Warner Brothers world. Unique idea, great idea, but it was so quick and so fast that I was like, where do I put my attention? I don't know where the focus is. I wasn't expecting too much from the film itself, so I wouldn't say that it was a complete horrible wash for me. I got it. I don't know that I agree either with the notion of like it was made just for kids. It wasn't made just for kids. I'm with you on that. But I think the reason that I was able to enjoy it was because it wasn't because of the acting. I will say that, but it was attempting to recapture the magic of the first one. There were some decisions made that it fell short, but I got through it. I was done with it, and I was like, okay, well, hey, I'm ready to talk about it on the show. It's not going to be something I'll go back to, but I get why the attempt was made to sort of recreate the magic of this series, and I don't think they'll do it again. And so, I don't know.
We can only hope not.
Yeah, exactly. Our friend Juan asked, now would it make you cringe if you were 6? I don't remember being 6, so I can't really answer
If
that.
I were 6, I would have no idea who any of those characters were, except for maybe King Kong. Like,
The
if I were
cartoon.
6, yeah, like I would know who King Kong. Obviously, the Bugs Bunny characters I would have known, but everybody else that was on the sidelines, none of them were geared for kids. There was the Iron Giant, there was the King Kong, and that's it. And God bless you if your parents showed you the Iron Giant. Like, seriously, you have awesome parents. But
It was one of the shows that was on repeat at my house.
Awesome.
With
There
my
you go.
kids. With my
fantastic.
kids.
I was
So
actually
like-
glad to see that reference there. So.
Yes, that was
absolutely.
fine. But like the penguin, why? Why is the penguin there? It sounds like it was made for a generation of TikTok viewers.
Oh yeah, the pace of it was nuts.
Absolutely. But again, why do all the mashup stuff? Like,
Right. Yeah.
who are you catering to? Are you catering to TikTok kids, or are you catering to the people who are going to get all the references in the movie? Because if you're getting it had no idea what it was trying to do. None.
I honestly think that was how they attempted to go across so many different age groups and so forth. But I just don't think it was successful because it was just so frenetic the entire time. So with that in mind, we've got a lot to cover. I want to jump to our ratings for Space Jam here on the Reel to Reel Talk show. We have a 5 taco system. A movie can get as many as 5 tacos. And if you want to give it some extra love, you can throw on some guac. So for Space Jam, Susan, we'll start with you. What is your rating for Space Jam: A New Legacy?
I'm gonna say 2 tacos. I hated this movie. I really didn't like it. Sorry.
Yeah, this is 0 tacos. I hated everything
Oh, wow,
about it.
okay.
It was the worst kind of kids movie that you could possibly make. Just
Gotcha.
there are amazing kids movies out there made every
Sure.
single month, literally, and we can have those more of those, please, not this.
Gotcha. I'm going to give it 2 tacos myself. Many of the same reasons we've all talked about. It's just, hey, I gave it a shot and did it for the show. Our friend Nick Diaz gives it a 3 taco rating. So we thank you, Nick, for letting us know your thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy. We appreciate that very much. All right. Well, again, we always say, watch it for yourself and you decide. You can also tell us what you thought of Space Jam: A New Legacy by making sure you visit us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Reel to Reel Talk, just like you see on the screen. Jump on there, check out what we've posted, comment, and let us know what you're thinking. You can also find us at Reel to Reel Talk on Instagram, where you can see all of our show posters from past episodes and find out what we've been watching and comment to us there as well. For those of you watching on YouTube, we say thank you very much, and we encourage everyone who's watching to go on over to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. We really want to do a lot to increase our subscriptions there, and we appreciate you going over there and not just clicking subscribe, but also making sure you click that notification bell so you know when episodes land. We are here live week to week on Tuesday evenings, so we thank you for joining us, and tell your friends because we'll tell you what we think about movies of all kinds. So thank you guys very much. We get now to our weekly segments, and we like to start with one called What the Hell Did I Just Watch? Paul, I'll turn it over to you.
So, just to give the intro of where did I find this particular one, when I first discovered Tubi, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's a literal, bevy of garbage movies that will help me fill out this segment. And so I had a really long list and I've been working through the list. And so this movie was one that just was like, hey, if you like this movie, then you'll, that's how I got the Tubi list together. This movie is called Cashback. It's a British flick about an art student, college level art student who is, he finds himself running out of money, so he needs to get a job. He gets a job at the local grocery store, and while working at the grocery store, in order to fill his time, to make the time go quickly as possible, he finds out he can actually stop time. He learns while working at a grocery store that he has the ability to stop time, and the first like 30 minutes of this movie is hilarious. It's so funny. It really is an absolute breath of fresh air movie that just is really funny. Like he introduces the various characters that work at the grocery store with him by explaining how they get through the day and what they do in order to get through the day. And there's the pair that just do constant hijinks. There's the woman that works the cashier that gets through the day by refusing to look at a clock. If she looks at a clock, then that ruins everything and it makes the day go long. He gets through by doing the opposite and making time stop. Now, then it gets it turns into like this really weird, cringy love story because like he starts stopping time and falls in love with the cashier and starts removing it, like, because he's an art student, so he's doing it for the art, but he starts removing people's clothes, and it's like I didn't realize that it was going to go that deep into it. Like the poster, it's like they throw it out there that but like it gets really deep into it, and it's very weird. It takes a very weird, uncomfortable turn, but it is weird. So I don't,
sounds like it qualifies perfectly for this segment.
It does, and unlike Life Force, which had a woman walking around naked, for some reason, which is a movie I did a few weeks ago, this one has naked women, and it's explained throughout, and it doesn't help the situation at all. So it takes a great concept, and then it follows the main character, the narrator, the art student, and explores, why does he love women? And it's just like, we don't need that. Like the movie was the wacky, zany troop of people that work at the store, and let's just stick with that. And then you can throw in the love story, but it got weird, got really uncomfortable. But I actually liked it in spite of myself, but because the first half hour was fantastic. That's I'll just leave it at that. Like, watch the first half hour. It's really funny. There are super funny parts that happen after the first half hour, but you also have to get through the cringy stuff. So I don't know.
Gotcha. It's another perfect entry.
It really is.
What the hell did I just watch?
It's like, I shouldn't be watching this movie. It's so... Yeah. Oh, why is he doing that?
You're doing it for the show, so we thank you very much. Week to week. If you want to find out what kind of weirdness Paul is watching, just jump on with us every week, and you can find some weird movies to watch. Yep. And you'll hear all about them here first. So
thank you, Tubi.
So much. Indeed, and thank you, Paul. All right, it's time now to figure out what Susan finally saw. Susan, your journey continues. Wow us with your choice this week.
So I decided that I needed to have a sports movie. I'm trying to stick with the theme of the show. And
I like that. I should have done that.
I looked at my list, and there was one movie on there that I had said, oh, God, I'm not going to watch it. I didn't like the other two movies with this cast. But I watched it anyway, and I was not surprised that I didn't like it.
Okay.
I watched Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky.
How can you not like it? Oh my God.
No, she's already said this isn't for her.
It's not.
If you don't like Step Brothers, there's no chance you're liking.
Oh yeah, good point.
It's not my type of humor, and that's fine. There were definitely parts of it where I was like, okay, and but. For the rest of it, not my thing.
Can I guess which one of the parts that you loved?
Go for it.
Little baby Jesus, when he's praying the little baby Jesus.
That was one of the parts.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny that he's praying to baby Jesus. I love it. It's so stupid. God.
That's my favorite version of Jesus to pray to. Yeah, it's such a silly movie. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
shake and bake indeed.
There were definitely other things there were things that I saw and I was like, oh, okay. Recognized some of the like people quote stuff and I don't get it, and I'm just like, but I picked up a few things. I'm like,
Now you know. Now you know. Yeah.
If you're not first, you're last.
This is maybe not a popular statement. I don't know, but this movie reminds me that Gary Cole is an underrated actor. He's so funny in whatever he's in, or if he's being serious, he's good. He's just, he's never been the leading man of anything, but when he appears in a movie, it's almost always a good thing. So
yeah, if you could get me those TPS reports.
Exactly. There you go.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Talladega Nights is now checked off the list, Susan. So congratulations as you keep moving through your list. I think you've said in the past that you might be open to our listeners suggesting movies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If somebody out there is listening or watching and you have an idea for a movie that you think you have to recommend. So the criteria of Susan Finally Saw is it's got to be a movie that I haven't seen, and it's got to be a movie that you think I should see.
Throwing random movies out there gets a very high hit rate on this, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty bad at watching movies. So if you have a movie that you think I absolutely must see, whether you think I've seen it or not, comment on the post, reach out to us via Messenger, however you want to do it, because chances are I haven't seen it. And if I have, I'll say so. But yeah, I'm always open for suggestions.
Yeah, excellent. Join us week to week to find out what Susan finally saw. Now I'm going to tell you about a little segment I like to call Real Time Rewind. I just like to remind folks of movies that are out there that you may have seen or not seen. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have, it's always worth the rewatch. This week I'm talking journalistic thrillers, and I have to remind everyone out there that there's a great movie called Frost Nixon. I'm a big Michael Sheen fan. I'm a big Frank Langella fan. And this film puts them together in a way that works absolutely in terms of the content. This was Michael Sheen playing David Frost, and the infamous interview that he had with Richard Nixon post-Watergate, post his resignation of the presidency. Very talky film, so Susan will love it. And it's just, again, it's one of those things where you really got to like that kind of movie because it's all kinds of conversation. But it really does a great job of chronicling what that whole experience was for David Frost. And basically, the final interview of the movie is just a clinic in how interviewing should go. So
I want to know what chronicling is.
Chronicling. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
Chronicling that whole experience. But so check out Frost Nixon if you haven't already, and if you have, go watch it again.
Oh,
it exists.
Indeed. All right, Juan Gonzalez, our friend from Con Culture Podcast, by the way. Juan asks, "Have you seen Ip Man?" We have someone who can answer that.
I actually have seen Ip Man.
Excellent.
It was a long time ago.
I should probably get around to it. So, all right.
You can miss the one with Mike Tyson though.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for this week's real quick reviews. We've got a few to get through. Paul, I know you've got a trilogy that you want to talk briefly about.
Yeah, I'll try to bang these out really quick. So Netflix did a really ambitious thing. They took a book series by R.L. Stine, the guy who brought us Goosebumps, and he did a more adult horror series called Fear Street, and they took that and said we're gonna make a trilogy, but we're not like spreading it out. It's just like you're getting one right after the other, rapid fire, 3 weeks in a row. Fear Street 1994, Fear Street 1978, and then Fear Street 1666. And the thing I loved about this series, so there were things I liked, things I loved, and then things I wasn't a big fan of. The things I loved about it was, so for 1994, they were like, we're going to take all of the sort of slasher films that were popularized by Scream in 1994, and we're going to make a movie that is like a 1990s slasher flick. And then for 1978, they took all of the things about like Friday the 13th, and Halloween, and said we're going to make a 1970s slasher flick. I feel like they did a really good job. It's not my genre, so the things I didn't like about it actually is part of what I did like is that I don't like slasher flicks at all. Like at all. And so they were tough hangs for me. But they were, I did still like them. Like I still like them, and we just lost Susan. I really like 1666. I thought it did a great job of just being the third installment and tying everything together. The final resolution, the kind of horror movie that I like is sort of like the devil horror movie, like Rosemary's Baby or The Omen or The Exorcist. That's the kind of horror movie that I like, and 1666 leaned really heavily into that, and I liked that. The acting was okay. You know, there were things. It felt more like a television series than 3 movies at the end, because it so closely is like, you know, threaded throughout. But you know, if you're down with slasher flicks, definitely spend the time. And you know,
So what would your taco rating be on the overall trilogy itself?
We'll just do the overall trilogy. I'm gonna give it 3 tacos, which is really good for me. Like I am not big on horror flicks, so
gotcha. Yeah. I do have one quick question, because I noticed that the progression of the releases were backwards.
Right.
Is there an overarching story, or is it each one is its own thing?
No, there's a thread.
Okay, cool.
And,
because
1666, like the third act of 1666 is in 1994.
All right, because I am going to make time for them. I was just curious, because that was going to sort of be the lockdown moment of like, well, if it's all related, then I want to watch them all.
Yeah, totally related. There is a common, there is an overarching story that is told, and that was one of the things I did like about it.
Nice.
Yeah, so,
all right, you can catch the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, so make sure you do, and let us know what you think.
Please.
All right. There was another Netflix movie called Gunpowder Milkshake that I have to tell you, I was like, what? Huh? Huh? What? I didn't even know the title until Susan, you brought it up. I remember. Yeah. Wow. I'm glad you did. So, Susan, kind of get us started with Gunpowder Milkshake, because you were the one that brought it to the group.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, you know, Netflix will pop it up and show, you know, whatever they're trying to promote.
Sure.
It's first thing on the, you know, it's big. And I watched the trailer and I was just like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to watch the movie. I mean, what can you say about it? It was
a hard sell, Susan.
Well, I'm just in a bad mood. No, I liked it. I loved the cast in it. I thought it was awesome. Like, and it was, you know, kind of borderline action flicky stuff that, like, the cliche stuff that everybody's like, oh, come on. What is that? I'm trying to find the actor's name. Oh gosh, hang on. I'm trying to look and see if I can find the actor's name. Like, we already know
Angela Bassett?
No.
Lena Headey?
No, we already stop. Okay, I'm just forget it. Anyway, it was great. Y'all's turn to talk about it now. Thanks.
I really love this film. I like, you know, action films. I was a little bit put off by the first fight scene. It looked really bad. And so I thought, oh gosh, if this is what I'm in store for. But no, it got better. And there were some cool, the story is nuts, as would be expected with this kind of sort of mob slash, I don't even know what to call it, but
mercenaries.
It was a revenge flick. Yeah, mercenary flick. But for me, it was the cast and how wonderfully they played their individual roles, and it was one of those, you know, popcorn flicks that you just watch to enjoy and hope that it hits, and it did for me. I think the cast was phenomenal. I think that you know, all of the action movie tropes that we have grown to love are part of this film, and there's even, you know, an opening for a potential sequel, which actually Studio Canal is working on the sequel to the film. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. Paul?
Yeah, I liked it. I wanted to love it. I really
Yeah.
was ready to love it. I felt like the problems with that first fight scene were problematic throughout.
Okay.
Which was a shame. The thing I really liked about it is it did a really great job of creating the universe in just one flick. It felt like they were, like they were just leaning heavy into like a John Wick sort of universe type of thing, and
Sure.
I loved that. I wish they'd spent more time at the library type of thing. It was it was so much fun. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough because you don't know what happened with those fight scenes. Like there was just the timing felt off. I think might have been it. Like it just felt like they needed a little help with the fight scenes, but the story works. The kid is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The little girl, it's good. I please watch this movie. It's fun.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So for Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix, Susan, what would be your taco rating for this film?
I'm gonna say 3 tacos with guac. There was definitely some things that could have improved, but I really did. For the most part, enjoyed it.
All right,
I think
Paul?
the cast was awesome.
Yeah, I'm three with guac as well. That seems perfectly right for this.
Yeah, I'm going to land on the same 3 tacos plus guac for Gunpowder Milkshake. It was a fun ride, and I do look forward to see what they might do in a sequel. So we'll see what happens.
Sure.
All right. That brings us to our final review of the evening, which is a documentary that was recently released this past week called Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain. This film was one that when I saw that it was going to release this week, I just I've got to bring this up. And it's those who are Anthony Bourdain fans and, who watched his shows and knew who he was from his books and so forth. This is the kind of film that brings closure to those of us who struggled with his passing. When he passed away, I was doing a podcast called The Random Riff, and we literally did the very same week an episode as a tribute to him. And speaking personally for myself, when I saw this movie come up, I thought, wow, am I ready? And will it be, will I be able to talk about it on the show? So I thank you guys for letting me throw it out there. It's for the fan of Anthony Bourdain, it is a must see. It did a lot for me to understand things I didn't know about his life and about his final days, months. And from a movie standpoint, it is a beautifully put together documentary. Morgan Neville was the director, and he has taken footage from Bourdain's work. And the thing that is the most jarring as this film opens is that you learn within the very first few minutes that Tony Bourdain is going to be the narrator throughout this film. They were able to pull enough of his dialogue from so many of his shows that he is almost literally the narrator through the entire film. And there was a comfort for me with that. And so for myself, I can't say enough about how much I enjoyed it. So for whoever watched it, Paul, I think you had an opportunity.
No, I did not.
Not yet? Okay.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. For myself, it was that bit of closure that I think I needed, which is weird when you can, celebrity's strange. There are people who I follow that are, heroes of mine, or they are people who I aspire to be like in terms of the work that they do. And if they pass, it's heartbreaking, but there was something about Bourdain's passing that for me was very personal. And I just had so many questions, and this film helped to bridge to those answers in a way that I didn't expect. And by the time it was over, I thought, this is cool. I feel like I know it sounds strange because I never knew the man, but I do model a lot of what I do, especially with my food show, on what I watched him do. When he tasted food, there was a way in which he approached it that I know is an influence on me, and the traveling and so forth. This movie is a treat. It's wonderful from a documentary standpoint, but it was, I don't want to oversell it by saying it was healing, but for this guy, it was a very healing moment and an opportunity to get some answers that I didn't think I'd ever get. And so can't recommend it enough.
I have a question.
Yep.
The narration is a bit of a controversy because they had to digitally recreate it. Does that turn you off at all or not at all?
No, in fact, like I said, having so much of his voice, because those who speak, if you're a fan of having watched his shows, having read his books, then there are so many familiar faces that are speaking throughout the movie. But to have his voice be the bridge, again, for me, it was comforting. It was like getting a chance to, and again, they're taking dialogue from what was used in prior episodes and also that wasn't used. It just worked for me. It really did. Controversy aside, had it been just a bunch of people talking about Anthony Bourdain and someone else telling the story, it probably would have been good and it probably would have answered questions. But there was just something about having his voice from beginning to end in the familiar way that I was used to it from his episode, from all of the episodes of all of his shows. I found very helpful, and so it was a great experience. I literally didn't watch it until today, knowing that I wanted it to be fresh. So yeah, I loved it. Cool. I absolutely loved it. Can't recommend it enough. Indeed. Definitely made for Bourdain fans. So if you didn't watch it, you might not even be interested. So,
yeah, I never did.
I just love that they didn't sensationalize his death. This was a tribute. This was people who were struggling, his friends who were struggling with why did it end this way? Why did he make this choice? And it's the last 20 minutes are very jarring, but they're honest. And so it was a good film. So with that in mind, we want to just take a moment to remind all of you that we love you guys. We thank you so much for joining us week to week. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. Reach out to us. Reach out to the show. I mean, if you feel like you got nowhere to turn, shoot, drop us a comment or a line, and we'll talk and say hello. So remember, you're not alone out there in the world, and we thank you for the time that you give us week to week here on the show.
For show.
Indeed. Guys, it's been another fun week. I am already excited about next week because it's fun talking movies with y'all.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right.
We have a lot more. By the way, just if real quick reviews is your favorite part, you're in for a treat next week.
Yeah, keep coming back.
There's like 27 movies coming out next week. It's insane.
And we're going to talk about each one.
Yeah, right.
Good thing I'm on vacation. All right. Well, once again, on behalf of Paul, Susan, and myself, thank you so much for joining us the way you do week to week. We appreciate you. And we remind you, as always, you're awesome, you're amazing, and the world is a better place because you are in it. We will see you next time on Real